And the first command that I'm finna show you is the most important command that you will learn using the terminal. And that command is man. And man basically stands for manual. And this is something that I will use with every command that I show you guys that we run within a terminal. Man basically gives you information about whatever command you're trying to run within the Linux terminal. And let me give you an example. The first example I will show you of a command and showing you the manual is man space man. Now that is the manual for the man command. So essentially, whenever you run the man command, whatever you're looking for or whatever manual you're looking for, you have to put that command behind it. So there are other commands like cd. You can put cd behind man, and that will open up the manual for the cd command. But like I said, we want to look at the manual for the man command. So it's man space man, and press enter, and you'll see it'll pop up with the actual the manual for man. As you can see right here, just kind of break it down. This shows you the actual command. Then it says manual page utility for the utility man. And then it gives you a name, a synopsis, basically how to use the command, and a description of everything about that command. And it does the exact same thing for most of the other commands within the Linux operating system. And let's just read the name right fast. So man, an interface to the system reference manuals. Now, at the end of the day, there's basically a small database running on the system that hosts all the manuals for all the different commands. And you can use the man command to pull up those manuals. And they'll show up in the terminal just like this. And in order to navigate, all you have to do is use your up and down arrows, and that'll move up and down throughout the terminal of the manual. And as I was saying, there is a synopsis, so it kind of shows you some of the options, because a lot of commands, they also have options that allows you to modify the results of the commands. So just to break down the first one, it says man, option, section, page, etc. So you can modify the results that'll come out while running that actual command. And then this breaks down the description. And like I said, this is in every manual for every command that's on the operating system. And the information here is very beneficial when you're first learning how to use this. And in certain cases, there are examples of how to actually use the command. So you can check these out. They explain what they're actually doing while using the option. And you can test some of these examples as well by running them on your own. And the way you get out of these manuals is simply by looking at the bottom where it says press H for help or Q for quit. So all you have to do is hit the Q button, and that will actually exit you out of that command. So congratulations, that's the first command you have ran within the Linux terminal. And as you can see, it's super simple. But I want to highlight again, man is very important, especially when you're first starting out using the Linux terminal, because there's no way in the world that you can remember all these different commands and how to use every single option within it. So if you're trying to figure something out using a command that you've never touched before, or a command that you haven't touched in a long time, then the man command is definitely beneficial. Now that you guys have a full understanding of the man command, now I want to show you guys how to actually work with directories within the shell. Now, I showed you guys earlier that you can navigate the shell by simply opening up the file explorer and going through and just looking, at your documents or your different folders that you have, where, well, there is a way to do this within the terminal. And I'll show you guys a couple commands that can help you work within different directories. And the first command I want to show you guys is the pwd command. So we're going to use that man command again, and I'll use that for every command that I run. So you guys can actually see that the man command does help you while understanding commands. So let's type man and then pwd and press enter, and that'll open up the manual for pwd. And as you can see, the name of it is pwd and print name of current working directory. And this is an important command because when you're navigating through files and folders on the Linux operating system, you can easily lose track of the location that you're at. And this command is important because it'll allow you to just simply write this command and it'll show you the location that you at. Now let's press Q for quit, and let's go down and run this command now. And let's type pwd, and this is actually running the command, and we can press enter, and that'll show you the working directory. And remember when I brought up the tilde represents the home directory? Well, everybody's home directory, or all users on the operating system, will have a folder under the home directory, which is just a folder on the file system, and it'll be named after your username. So let's click here under files, and I wanted to show you guys the location of this. So you can see a GUI representation of it as well. So, and from what it looks like, I have to go under other locations, and that'll bring up computer. And that's basically what I wanted to show you guys. So we click on computer. This is the root directory, which is represented by the / right there. And then what we're looking for is the home directory. So that's that home directory, and then the Josh directory. So that's essentially the same location as the home location right here. You just don't see it. They kind of hide it from you, but it is there. And that's one of the powers of using a terminal. You can see the exact location where you are. And this goes into absolute path versus relative path, which I'll give you a quick overview of what that is. And the absolute path is the full location to a file or a folder or directory, so home and Josh. And then a relative path is an assumed path, which I'll cover a little bit more once we get to the cd command, which is the next one. Now let's open up the cd man page. So all we have to do is type man and then cd, and basically cd stands for change directory. And as you can see, certain commands don't have a manual, especially if it's a very old command. And I wanted to do this on purpose so you guys can see that some commands you may run into won't have a manual, but majority of them do. When it comes to the cd command, it's so old and it's been around forever that they assume that most people understand what it actually means. But the cd command is simply a way to change directory. That's what cd stands for. And just to show you a quick example of how to use the cd command, we could just type cd, and then let's say we want to go to this home directory. We just want to go to that home directory. And this is what I was saying about relative path versus absolute path. But let's type home, and we can press enter, and that'll take us to that directory. And as you can see right there, the tilde is gone, and now it's showing the actual location where you're located. And the tilde was simply just a representation of home and Josh. Now this gives me the opportunity to show you guys a relative path, which basically means that the system understands where you are, which is the home directory right now, or the home folder. And a relative path would be to change directories to the Josh folder within home. And so if we press enter there, that'll get us back to our home directory. And just to add a little more, one thing about Linux, you could do things a number of different ways. So there's not one way to actually do certain things, because that took us back to our home directory. And if we go back to the home folder by typing the path home and press enter, we can also simply type cd And that'll take us to our home directory as well, because by default, it will take you back to your home directory no matter where you are. It'll take you back to home Josh or whatever your user name is. Now, the next command I wanted to show you guys is the ls command. So let's type man and then ls, press enter, and that will give you the details of this actual command or the manual. It says list directory contents, and then it also gives you the synopsis on how to actually run it, as well as the options. And let's hit the Q button just to get out of that. And I downloaded some files for us to play around with this command, and they're located in another directory. So we have to use that cd command like we just used, but we just need to type cd, and then the folder that it's in is under the documents folder, and there's a folder underneath it called Ansible. So all we have to do is type Ansible examples and press enter, and that'll change us. Our current location is within that Ansible directory. Now let's play around with the ls command. So all we have to do is type ls and press enter, and that will list out the contents of the current working directory. So that's essentially how the ls command works. As you can see all the folders that are underneath it, as well as the files that are underneath it. And if we go back to our Explorer and we click in here under documents, you'll see that Ansible examples folder, and you'll see the exact same information that was listed out within the terminal. Now, this will be a good example to show you guys one of the options that you can run with the ls command. And this will kind of show you how powerful the ls command is. Now, within this directory, there is a readme.md, and Linux has hidden files and folders just like in the Windows operating system as well as Mac OS. But in order to make something hidden, Linux uses a different designator for hidden files, which is a period. So any file or folder that has a period within the front of it lets the Linux operating system know that this file is a hidden file, and so don't show it unless you have it set to where it shows hidden files. And it's readme.md. What I'm gonna do is just change it by going under rename and put a period in front of it, and that will actually hide that file. So we can hit rename, and as you can see, it disappeared. So that file is hidden now. But if we go back to the terminal and we type ls, we'll see that that file has disappeared as well there. Well, a good example of how to use an option with the ls command or any commands in general, and that's why it's important to understand how to look at those man pages, is that there's a way to show hidden files while using the ls command. So we could just type ls, and then I know the option off the top of my head, but it's simply -a for all. So that'll basically show you all the files, whether they're hidden or not hidden. So let's press enter, boom, and as you can see, it will show that hidden file. And by default, when I downloaded this GitHub directory, they already had hidden files within it. But I just wanted to show you guys how to hide something, as well as how to see all the hidden files if you want to see it. Now, there's another option I wanted to show you guys that you can run using the ls command. And one thing I want to do is clear the actual screen. And basically all this is doing is moving up all this information. So we're starting, and it looks like it's a fresh terminal by typing the command clear. And as you can see, it just basically moved everything up. Now, let me run the ls command again, just so you guys can see an example of what it shows when you run the ls command with no options. But I also wanted to show you another option, which is L. So if we type ls and then -L, that stands for long, or it's a long view, and it puts it almost in a table, so you can see a whole bunch of information associated with the specific files. Because right now all you see is just the files in general, but you don't have any other information beside that, besides just the name of the folder. So if we press enter, boom, that will give us a lot more information. As you can see, it's broken out in a format that you will start to recognize and understand. And this goes into the permissions portion that I'll show you guys later on in the course. But as you can see, it gives you a whole lot more information about these folders. And it also shows you when they was actually created, and also like the owner and the group of the actual files. So this lets you know that Josh, the user, owns these folders and files. Now, one thing I wanted to show you guys as well, and we're going to use that L option again, but you can also run options together. So let's type ls and then -L and the A option. And we don't have to put 2 dashes. We could just put them together and the system will understand it. And press enter, and that'll run it with the all. And that'll bring in our hidden files and folders. So as you can see, that git ignore file is there, as well as the readme.md file is there as well. Now let me show you one more option that you can actually add to this, and that is the H option, which puts things in a human readable format. And if we look at the man page, which I'm not going to open up again, but the H option is there, you'll see it. But one thing we're going to run is ls and then -L and then the A option for all, and then the H option. And just to kind of explain it before I run it, as you can see, all these files and folders are in a bytes format. That's the actual size of the files right there in this column right here in the middle. That is the size of the files and folders. Now, most folders are represented by 4K. That's typically the size of a folder. No matter how big something is in it, it'll show as 4K. But this is in the smallest format. So if, let's say, we're looking at a file that's a gigabyte in size, well, if you run it without the H, it'll have the size in bytes, and it'll be hard to kind of figure out what it is. So let's press enter, and that way I can show you the difference. So as you can see, it's in 4.0K. It basically puts it in the size to make it human readable. As you can see, this file is 31 bytes and the readme.md is 121 bytes. Now let's go down and clear the screen again and press the CD button. That'll get us back to our home directory, and we can clear again right fast just to get it back up to the top. And the next command I wanted to show you guys is the mkdir, which stands for make directory. Now let's go to that man page for that by typing man mkdir and press enter, and that'll open up that manual for us. And as you can see, it basically stands for make directories. And then there's a whole bunch of options. You can go through and check this out at your leisure, but let's go through and show you guys how to actually use it. So let's press Q to get us back to the terminal. And let's go to our documents folder by using that CD command we just learned, and then type in the documents folder and press enter. And as you can see, now we're in that documents folder. And if we ls using the ls command we just learned, we could press enter, and we can see that we only have one folder within this directory, in the documents directory. So let's say we wanted to make another folder within this directory without using the GUI. Well, you can use the make directory command. So let's type mkdir, and then you want to put the name of the directory that you want to create. So I'm gonna just create a test directory and press enter, and that'll create that directory for us. And majority of the times when you run a command within the terminal, no output is a good thing. That lets you know that the command ran successfully. Now, if something happened, then it would have given us an error. And just to give you a quick example of that, if we run that same command again to make the same directory name, so test with a capital T, press enter, you'll see it'll give you an error, basically saying it cannot create directory, test file exists. So that means that folder is there. Now let's use the ls command again so we can see that that folder has been created in that location. So if we type ls, press enter, that'll show you all the folders that are in that directory. And you should see that the test directory is there. So now let's say we wanted to create a folder underneath it. Well, the easiest way to actually do it is by typing cd, and we can go into that test directory and make another folder. So, and let's type mkdir and then type test2 and press enter, and it'll create us a folder underneath that directory. So if we type ls, boom, under that directory, you'll see that there is that folder of test2. Now that kind of took a little bit longer, and like I said, in the Linux terminal, there are multiple ways of skinning a cat. I could have made both of those directories at one time, and I'll show you guys that by using a option with the make directory. And what I'm gonna do is cd from that directory, and what I want to do is go back to the documents folder, which is where we were where we created the first directory. And let's ls again so we can verify where we are. Or we can also type in that print working directory, which I won't print it out because we know what directory in by what's listed here. The tilde, which is our home directory, and then the documents directory. Now let's make a parent folder and a child folder by using an option with the make directory command. And all we have to do is type mkdir and then the option, which is -p, and now we can specify a parent and a child directory, and you can go as deep as you want when it comes to creating the folders for a full directory tree. So the folder I want to create, I'll just create a Linux folder, Linux, and then in order to create a folder underneath that folder, we just have to put the /, and then let's type Ubuntu, and then let's say we wanted to create another folder underneath that just to take it to another level. We could type Josh in there and press enter, and it will create that full directory tree. So if we ls within this directory under documents where we created that Linux directory, you'll see that we have that Linux folder. Now if we go in cd into the Linux directory, press enter, and if we ls again, that'll show us that we have that Ubuntu folder that we created. Now if we cd into the Ubuntu folder, boom, and you type ls again, and you'll see that it has a Josh folder. And you guys should get the idea of how that actually works. So I'm gonna clear the screen because I wanted to show you the next command, which is how to remove a directory. Now let's cd to go back, and then let's cd back into our documents directory and press enter, and let's ls again so you guys can see the folders that are in that directory. And the next command I wanted to show you guys is the remove directory command. So let's type man and then rmdir, press enter, and that's the manual for the remove directory. So it says remove empty directories. Now the word empty is very important when it comes to this command, because you have to run an option in order to delete a folder that has either files or directories underneath it. And I'll show you guys how to do that once we get to running the remove command. So let's press Q for quit. And the first thing I want to do is go to that test directory. And I just want to show you guys a simple way of deleting a folder. So as you can see, it has that test.2 directory underneath the test directory. So in order to remove that test2 directory, and we know that that folder is empty because we didn't create anything underneath it. So all we have to do is type remove dir, and then we could just type in test2, press enter, and that'll remove that directory for us. So if we type ls again, you'll see that the test2 directory is no longer there. Otherwise, it would have listed just like up here when we first ran the ls directory. Now let's type cd and go back to our home directory. Now let's go back into this documents folder because I want to show you guys an option on how to delete a parent and child folder. So if we press enter there, that'll get us back in that documents directory, and let's type ls to list out that directory, the contents of that directory. Now we know that the Linux folder has multiple folders underneath it, and just to show you, you cannot remove a directory with a directory. I'm gonna run the remove command against that Linux directory that we created and press enter, and as you can see, it says failed to remove the Linux directory because it's not empty. So in order to get by that, we use the same option that we use to create a parent child folder when we ran the make directory command, which is -p. And you'll start learning that a lot of the options are pretty much similar. So let's run it now. Remove dir, so rmdir -p, and then we have to specify all of the directories. So if we type Linux first, and then there is a Ubuntu directory underneath that, and then the Josh directory as well. And if we press enter there, that will delete that whole directory tree. So all the folders underneath it are deleted, as well as that folder. And if we ls this directory again, you'll see that it's fully gone.